Joining me now, conveniently, already on the schedule, Baron Lukas of Crudefunders, the Texas Oil and Gas Equity Crowdfunding Company, one of the major players getting rigs rolling again in different places of the U.S. Welcome aboard, Baron.
Good morning. Thank you.
Have you been watching the markets at all? This thing in the U.K. obviously having a swift impact on oil prices.
Yeah, I have been. I'm a little bit surprised, but not overly, with Brexit. I think there's an indication that polls can be wrong and that people of Britain have voted in a very different way than most of the pundits and the economists would think. But here we are.
Yeah, here come the silent majority of the UK, and it seems that some political candidates got it right and some wrong. Let me ask you about this. The reason we had you on originally, and this would play into it to some extent, the Strategic Petroleum Reserve was created back in the early 1970s during that oil embargo, the Arab oil embargo from OPEC, when we had cars sitting at lines at gas stations and so forth. And then we put into place the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. It's now something on the order of 690 million barrels of government-controlled oil in case of emergency. But oil in America is so abundant now, with fracking and technology from North Dakota to West Texas. Some are saying it's time just to sell it off, move on. I see that as making sense, except that oil right now is at a terribly low price. Why would you sell it now? Wouldn't you sell it when it had a better value? What do you make of it?
Well, I don't think we should sell it at all. Having a strategic reserve I think, is a wonderful idea. Currently, we're only producing about half of the oil that we consume in the United States. We still have to import oil. And so there could be any number of reasons why global oil supplies come short. The fires in Canada, criminal and other activities in Venezuela, Nigeria, and Libya have caused a reduction in oil supply globally. The Middle East has never, ever, ever been more unstable than it is today. So I think for our national interest, I think we should keep a reserve, and we should keep it for the right reasons. And that is that what happens if this Brexit vote, no matter what side of the fence you're on politically, is a clear signal that the EU is about to crumble, which will make markets extraordinarily volatile for a while, and will have an impact on other global issues, including Islamic extreme terrorism and all of that. So I think right now we need to be conservative. We need to be very careful. While we do have enough oil in this country, particularly if you draw a circle around Mexico and Canada and the United States, that big North American oil field, so to speak, is enough to make us energy independent. We can't do it overnight, and we certainly can't do it with the current administration rules. So for now,
you make a great point there. You make a great point there, Mr. Lukas, which is this. The administration we currently have seems to want to block initiative when it comes to exploring for new oil and creating new sources of oil. You've got the environmental movement that tries to tell people that fracking is going to destroy the planet, although there's scant evidence to suggest such. The fact of the matter is we're in the middle of an American energy renaissance when it comes to bringing up natural gas and oil through fracking and so forth. You know that. It's driven the price of oil down. It's brought the price of gasoline at the pump down for a lot of folks. In fact, too low in some cases, some might say. That, today with oil dropping below $48 a barrel, not the best place for oil to be. There's a sweet spot someplace. But there's no question America is the number one producer of natural gas in the world, on its way to being the number one producer of oil. And I agree with you. At some time in the near future, we should be the number one producer of energy in the world and not have to rely on much of anyone. I mean, that's the way it should be, right?
Yeah, it should be that. And we're there. The shale revolution in gas has already created a century of gas supply, which we can now export. Shale oil, we don't really know how much oil we have. We do know this. For the first time in my history, I'm 57 years old, the United States has the ability to if it wants, to produce enough oil for its own consumption and probably export. Now, it's going to take some time, but we can get that done. And that changes so many things. I spent 30 years in the Marine Corps. I spent a lot of time in the Middle East. There's a storm specifically where we were there in part because that's where 50% of the world's oil is. Now, if that's no longer a matter of national security, then our view of the world changes significantly. And so I'm not a separatist. I'm not an isolationist, certainly, but I think the ability for America to be independent of what is the most volatile area of the world and will be for quite some time to come is wonderful. And that's one of the reasons why Crudefunders, the company that I'm on the board of advisors for, the crowdfunding thing for the oil field, is so critical. The timing couldn't be more perfect. Now is the time for America to think about how do we make ourselves great again. I'm not a Trump here, but the reality is that now the average American can see that most of us have retirement accounts that are invested in the oil field anyway. Now, with Crudefunders, the average American invests in the oil field. I think it's registration of $1,000. You own part of an oil well, then you will get residual income.
Then you have part of the future.
It is part of the future.
We got to leave it right there, Baron. I appreciate it. We'll talk more about it the next time you stop. Baron Lukas from Crudefunders. Greatly appreciate your time, my friend.
Thank you much.